Hi.
Hi, David. It's nice to meet you.
It's nice to meet you. Hopefully we'll all be together in person soon
That
enough.
sounds great.
Ashley, I guess I'll do a microphone check. Can you hear me?
I heard you, Richie.
Okay.
Hello, guys and girls.
Hello.
Hello.
Good to see everybody. You are a mighty serious, quiet looking group right now. All right.
This is kind of like old times, isn't it?
Yes, in the squares again, right?
Yeah. The game show's back on.
So I have a question out of curiosity.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Andy.
Andy.
And I think I have time because I don't think we've officially started. We have still people joining us. When we do the Zooms like this, do our 2 a year, is it a rolling calendar? Is it a fiscal calendar, or is it just the yearly calendar? And maybe that's a question it's certainly a question for somebody above my pay grade, because we're only allowed 2 a year, right?
My understanding, I'll let Richie weigh in, but when we fill out the reports for the board, I believe it's in the fiscal year as
Okay.
far as the attendance goes and things of that nature, but I defer to Counselor Gloria on that one.
Hey, Richie, just curious. I've never asked that question or thought to ask the question before.
I don't know that it's entirely, it's not clear. It hasn't been designated, so I treat it as kind of from our annual meeting thereon. So I do calendar year. We do calendar year here, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay, so like 24. So this one would be considered 23, and we start fresh in 24 as far as you're concerned.
As far as I'm concerned, yes.
Well, we're going to go by
That's
what you
gospel.
That's right.
There you go. That's all we needed to know.
But we can't do them consecutively anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I was just thinking about that today, and I thought, well, it's good because at least we managed to get through. And then I thought, well, maybe not. I wasn't sure what the year was. It's a year, the time frame. So that's good. Thank you.
All right. I think we're at, let's see, do we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think we have a quorum. So I will call the meeting to order. I don't think we need to do we need to do anything for this since this meeting is designated as remote? I don't think we need to have a vote, do we?
we do not. It's already been called, and it's a special meeting. It's complying with Virginia statute and also with the rules of procedure
Okay.
that this body has adopted. So we have a quorum present electronically, and we're recording, and it's been noticed. So I think we move forward.
Okay, great. Anybody signed up from the public?
No, sir. No one said that.
Okay. All right. Then on to new business. Oh, I'm sorry. I wasn't paying attention to what was on the screen. So JT, you want to do the introductions?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have 2 important introductions to make to the EDA this afternoon. First, let me say happy holidays to everyone. I hope everyone had a safe and enjoyable Thanksgiving. This is a special meeting rescheduled from our November 14th regularly scheduled meeting. The actions we take today will help us take care of the business that we need to take care of in order to move forward on a couple of different projects. We are still scheduled for our regularly scheduled meeting on December 19th. With that said, it's actually really good timing for us to get together because we can now welcome our newest EDA director, David Storm, from the Scottsville district, as well as our new director of economic development, Barry Albrecht. So I wonder if we could take those in order and give David a chance to introduce himself, and I will turn it over to David.
AT, thank you. I'm glad to be here. My name is David Storm. I'm in the Scottsville district. I have just finished a 3.5 terms, 7 years on the 5th and Avon CAC. So I've been involved with a number of items that have come through this part of the southern part of Albemarle County. I am a legal analyst currently with LexisNexis. I am a former owner of the Wine Guild of Charlottesville, which has sort of bounced around its locations within the city over the last 15 years. I have been an adjunct recently with the University of Virginia's School of Education and Human Development, dealing with governance of collegiate athletics, primarily an older career of mine. And I've been a resident here in Albemarle for over 20 years with my wife, who is currently a senior project manager in the Facilities and Environmental Services Division. And we have 3 young boys who are in elementary and middle school here in Albemarle County. So I'm looking forward to the work we do here and to helping make Albemarle an even better place to live, work, and raise my family.
Thanks, David. Welcome.
Hey, David, one quick follow-up question. There may be folks on the call that are unfamiliar with CACs. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about what that is and what that experience was like?
So, goodness, I don't know how long ago the Board of Supervisors created citizen advisory communities, or CACs, which most recently have been a place where projects, developments in the growth areas of the county, there are 7 across the county, will hold community meetings that are required. It's also a way to share information back to communities in the county when they have some. We've been very focused recently on a couple of bigger projects, a development project, of course, the Southwood Development Project, the Albemarle Business Campus that came through here, and then Biscuit Run are the ones that have really been sort of the biggest over the last, say, 3 or 4 years. It's a good place that we're able as citizens to provide feedback to the developer, to county staff, and to anyone who's interested in what's going on in terms of development in primarily in the growth areas in the county. I think Ms. McKeel could probably speak as well to them from her side of it as well.
Thanks so much, David.
David did a great job on that one. So they've been around in their current reiteration. Of course, they've changed a little bit over the years, but about a decade, I would say, probably. Yeah.
All right. Mr. Chair, can we turn it over to Barry to introduce?
Certainly.
All
Certainly.
right.
Welcome, Barry.
Barry, I think you might be muted.
Yep, I sure was. I was muted. Okay, no, I'm real excited about being here. I'm just in a nutshell, 30 years of doing economic development, primarily with with cities and towns that had a military presence, aerospace and defense, and also have a reputation in developing some pretty cool strategic partnerships, public-private partnerships with universities and with industry. So I'm already hitting the ground running. Thanks, JT's keeping me in between the lines. So feel free to call me if you ever have any questions.
Thanks. Well, we're glad you're here.
Yes, I can affirm we have been keeping Barry very busy, and we are very glad he came back to work today after his first day. So welcome, Barry.
Normally I would say we should go around and introduce everybody, but maybe we do that at our actual full meeting when everybody's in person. So why don't we just go ahead and, since it's a special meeting, proceed with our new business.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under new business, we have 2 action items today, and new business will tackle the first action item, and it's an overview and discussion to prepare for a joint session with the Board of Supervisors in 2024. It occurs to me that we have some EDA directors that have not yet participated in a joint session with our Board of Supervisors. So I wanted to give a quick overview of some of the history of our joint meetings, particularly since the adoption of Project Enable. As the EDA knows, Project Enable is our strategic plan. It guides our work, and we use joint meetings with the Board of Supervisors to, historically, we've used them to add tools to the toolbox. So many of the action items we bring before the EDA are grant agreements associated with grants from the state. There are also public-private partnership agreements. Most recently in 2021, we worked through our building reuse grant policy. That's not a grant that has been used yet, but we have been discussing it with a number of different projects and think that it will come to fruition soon. Another topic that got a lot of discussion very recently, in fact, yesterday, is the discussion of the EDA controlling land and helping the county facilitate its goals with ownership of land. The context yesterday was around affordable housing, and we also have another very important project related to the Economic Development Office, which is Rivanna Futures. The board will be getting an update on that project on December 13th, and I look forward to updating the rest of the EDA at our full meeting on December 19th. But that gives you a sense of the flavor of how we've used these meetings in the past. And if we look ahead to 2024, what is it that we want to accomplish in our time with the board? These two columns show just kind of the broad, big topics that each of our respective bodies work on. So in the Economic Development Office, we'll be focused on Rivanna Futures, Project Enable, updating Project Enable to something we've been calling Project Enable 2.0, and support for the board strategic plan. On the right-hand side of this slide, you see a lot of the activities that the EDA has been doing consistently over the past year. I'd like to focus on these last two bullets. Our finance department has informed us that we need to establish a fiscal services agreement with our finance department. We previously had one, the EDA did, back in 2015, but it has expired, and the finance department has advised us that's something they want to update with us. Another topic that may be relevant for a board meeting is our memorandum of understanding between the EDA and the board. That included some language that said after the board adopted Project Enable, we would review that MOU and update it. So those are two ideas that we might think about bringing back to them. Thinking about the schedule to prepare for this meeting, the board typically spends the first quarter of each calendar year adopting its budget. And there are many meetings, town halls and work sessions and public hearings associated with the budget. So we won't be scheduled for a joint session during that time, but in early Q2, we would like to we would like to work with the clerk to schedule our time with them. And since the EDA only meets monthly, that really gives us about 3 or 4 meetings to work together to come up with what it is we'd like to accomplish with the board. And that's captured up here at the arrow at the top of the slide. So the first bullet here shows the topic of our first action item, which is a training offered by Virginia Tech on economic development authorities. And staff would recommend that the EDA take part in this training. This is a virtual training that will be on Monday and Tuesday of next week. And it will give us all a common understanding and a shared foundation of what the most current enabled activities are of economic development authorities. We can review that in December through March, and we can then, after we have topics identified, staff can go to the Board of Supervisors and get some early feedback on what those topics are, and we can be prepared to further that discussion and take action at the ultimate date of our joint meeting. This is just a little bit more about that training through Virginia Tech. I believe that the enabling authority for economic development authorities around the state provides a lot of flexibility to do a lot of different things. And so as this board has shared with us and given us feedback on, what are the priorities that it wants to pursue and interests that it has, this training will help guide us on what best practices are and what those opportunities are to consider. And so we have a resolution included in today's packet that would provide funding for us, for staff, to register everyone on the EDA, as well as staff in our county executive's office, to join us in getting that most up-to-date education on the abilities of EDAs, so that we can be prepared for that discussion, that joint meeting with the board in the early to middle of next year. And so that was kind of a lot of information, but I can pause here and see if there are any comments or questions about that proposal.
And I'll just add, I think, JT and I I will strongly encourage everyone to do this. As the slide said, even if you can't attend, there will be recordings available for people to watch. And as JT and I have been sort of talking about this path to getting to our meeting, if everybody has that common understanding that he mentioned, and we all have the same basis, it'll make it much more effective for us to talk about the things that we think we can do and that we want to do.
I think sounds like a really good opportunity. Just curious, what is the cost per attendee?
It's $75.
Oh, that's very reasonable.
I last attended this training in person back in 2019, and it was a great opportunity in person, especially to get to interact with other EDAs around the state and hear how they operated and bring back some best practices which we've implemented. Things have changed over time, so receiving the training again, I think, would give us the most up-to-date enabling legislation from the General Assembly, and I'm looking forward to it.
Any other questions or comments about it?
JT, would you you're planning to register me as well as a liaison?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I do have some, I've already have some meetings scheduled for Monday and Tuesday, but I'll make it work as best I can. And then you said all of us would have an opportunity to go back in and pick up.
And watch. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's great. And you'll send out a link and all that stuff.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
You can spend your weekend before Christmas watching the VITA training. And I do, Diane, the one thing I'd be curious about, and this is something you don't need to answer now, but I'd be interested to hear what you think, having now been through a number of these joint meetings, what's the most effective way to present them and to run those meetings so that everybody gets the most out of it. And I'm sure staff has got some ideas, but I'd be curious what your thoughts were.
Yeah, and I guess let me think about it a little bit. I'm happy to get with you guys.
Yeah.
The agendas are obviously critical anytime you have joint meetings, right? And how you structure it. I have to think back over the last couple of ones, and but I know that the board really would appreciate the opportunity, or appreciates the opportunity, and is very interested in and just to think about really, and I'll just say this quickly, going into the comp plan. And some of the, the comp plan, it has a focus on economic development, I mean, we are talking about that. JT, I don't think we've gotten that. I don't think the discussion has gotten there yet, but it might be interesting to sort of look at it through that lens as well.
Nice segue there, Diane. JT, you want to jump ahead?
Supervisor McKeel, we couldn't have scripted that any better, but coming soon to an inbox near you is the goals and objectives, the draft goals and objectives for the update to the comprehensive plan. Community development staff will be attending our meeting on December 19th to do the same thing they did with the Planning Commission in terms of soliciting feedback and getting input from this body around the economic development chapter of the comprehensive plan.
Right.
So thank you, Supervisor McKeel.
I'm a genius and didn't even
Yeah.
know it, right?
Yes.
Oh, good. That's
Thank
great.
you.
Though. Thank you.
Well, if there are no further questions about the sort of pathway to our joint meeting and the VITA training, can we get one more slide, JT, a motion to approve the appropriation of $1,000 for tuition?
I move the Economic Development Authority to adopt the resolution appropriating up to $1,000 for the purpose of funding tuition and registration fees to attend the Virginia Industrial Development Authorities Institute virtual training on December 11th and 12th, 2023.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, there's a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor of the resolution? Aye.
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 Any? Sounds like any opposed? All right, the resolution passes. So JT and the staff will take care of getting that and send us out the information that we need. Thanks, JT.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Chair, the next item on our agenda comes under unfinished business, and that is the VGIP performance agreement for Agrispheres. Just to give a quick recap, this agreement is one of two agreements resulting from an expansion of a local company called Agrispheres. They're in our biotech space, and they held a governor's announcement back in May, which included the specifics of their expansion, which was creating 53 new jobs, career ladder, high-paying jobs, and completing $25 million of capital investment. The Economic Development Authority has already approved the Commonwealth Opportunity Fund grant that matched the $200,000 opportunity from the state. The action that's requested today is focusing on the VGIP grant, the Virginia Jobs Investment Program opportunity, and that performance agreement was included in the meeting materials for today. The authorization of the resolution in today's packet will allow staff to match the grant from the state for the new jobs that this company has already created. And we don't have any representation from the company planned to speak today. The CEO who spoke during the EDA's last meeting, he's in Dubai for an international conference on agriculture. But the information on the slide gives you an overview of what we discussed before, and today's suggested motion will authorize staff to implement this grant match. I'm happy to take any questions.
And these are funds that are coming out of funds that the Board of Supervisors appropriated for us to use.
For this
can't remember.
purpose,
Yeah.
for state and federal
Matching.
grant matches.
Okay. Any questions?
So we discussed this before and we have ample funds for this. This is not above and beyond what, when they presented last meeting, we saw we have ample funds for this, correct? Maybe that's an Ashley question.
And Ashley is muted, but I think she will answer as soon as she comes off of mute. Ashley, we are still having trouble with audio. We are
Can you hear me now?
yep.
Yeah.
Ooh, echo.
All right, let's try that.
Ashley, I'm happy to answer this question, and maybe you can nod your head or pop over to the other side of the wall to answer if I mess it up. But Director Johnson, yes, these funds are provided by the Board of Supervisors. They're appropriated to the EDA for the purpose of matching federal and state grants. And they are already in the Economic Development Authority's fund. And so they've been appropriated for this specific purpose as these opportunities arise.
Mm-hmm. So just where does that leave our balance for opportunities later on, like where are we at financially as far as what we have left for other
Hi, it's me again.
Yeah. Hey, Ashley.
Hey, so as JT said, the funding for this particular incentive has already been earmarked. And just to provide some clarity, we may decide to work with our budget department maybe in the future so that we could have a little bit of a work session to discuss the way that these funding opportunities work. It leaves our balance. So we have $496,000, give or take, at our disposal for these types of incentives.
Mm-hmm.
We have a total encumbrance over the next 4 fiscal years of around $600,000, but each year we can appropriate the needed funds for those incentives. So we actually confirmed yesterday with our budget department that as these opportunities arise, we simply approach budget with the need, because the state provides a matching grant. I'm sorry, if the state spearheads the incentive, we by practice will match, and most often the board has no issues with supporting those types of growth opportunities. So it is in a scenario where we get whatever we want, if you will, but within reason and within framework, it's certainly not an issue to request that type of support be appropriated.
Yeah.
And to add, I am working on a more comprehensive financial report that I can share at our next in-person meeting.
Yeah.
To clarify these questions. For sure.
And I appreciate that. I know we discussed this at last meeting as well. It's hard. The CEO and me has trouble just,
Understood.
Not knowing where I'm at any point in time.
Right.
So that's a little bit, I struggle with that a bit. And I appreciate the explanation.
Of course. Sorry for my unprofessional posture here, and I will go back. Thank you.
All right. Is there no further questions? Is there a motion?
I'll move approval of the resolution.
Okay. Is there a second?
I will second.
All right. Any further discussion? Not hearing any. All in favor of the motion? Aye.
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 Any opposed? Not hearing any. The motion passes. So the resolution is approved. Are there any other matters from the staff or directors?
Mr. Chair, if I could just really quickly,
Sure.
plug one more time, community development staff will be coming to our December 19th EDA meeting. And so I will be distributing, this is a packet of probably about 10 pages or so of draft goals and objectives for economic development. And so please be on the lookout for that information in your inbox. And if you have any questions, please reach out to staff. The community development staff has been receiving feedback from the community, from the Planning Commission, the EDA. All of that is helpful, as Supervisor McKeel alluded to the Board of Supervisors, digesting that information and directing staff accordingly. So I just want to make that plug one more time.
All right. Thanks, JT. Anything else? All right. Well, hopefully folks will be able to attend the training next week, and we will see everybody in 2 weeks on the 19th.
Okay.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.
That was
Take care.
fast. Bye-bye, guys.
All right.
Nice meeting
Thank you so
everybody.
much.
See
Thank
ya.
you, everyone.